There is a sound that winter makes in the far north of Sweden, a sound that exists nowhere else on earth. It is not the howl of the wind, nor the crack of ice splitting beneath the weight of its own frozen bones. It is something older, something that lives in the spaces between snowflakes, in the pause between heartbeats. The Sami people called it the breath of the sleeping gods. The Finns called it a warning. In the winter of 1674, in a parish called Torsåker, that sound changed. It became a scream. The historical archives of Sweden preserve a phrase that even now carries the weight of unmarked graves. Det stora översändet, the great noise. Scholars have debated its meaning for centuries. Some say it referred to the chaos of mass hysteria. Others claim it described the literal cacophony of accusations, confessions, and wailing that consumed the northern provinces. But if you had stood in the frozen silence of Torsåker that winter, you would have understood what it truly meant. It was the sound of 71 coffins being measured before their occupants had even been accused. The snow fell that year with a particular heaviness, as though the sky itself was trying to bury what was coming. The village of Torsåker sat huddled against the forest, like a wounded animal, its wooden cabins exhaling thin ribbons of smoke into the gray nothing above. The people there lived as their ancestors had lived, by the axe, by the plow, by prayers muttered into calloused hands. They feared the wolves that circled in the darkness beyond the tree line. They feared the long nights that could swallow a man's sanity whole. But they did not yet know they should fear each other. On the edge of this settlement, where the cultivated fields surrendered to the ancient pines, stood a cabin that seemed to belong to a different world entirely. Its timbers were older than the village church. Moss grew in patterns on its walls that the local women whispered looked like runes, and inside, a woman named Margarita stood at her window, watching the crows gather on the church steeple, and understood that death had finally found its way north. The court records of the Hamar district, the Dombacher, refer to her simply as Force